If I give you a ham radio, listen up. I gave you this model right here. It might look a little different, but they're all the same. This is a Quansheng UV K5, okay? It's a very capable ham radio, and the one that I gave you is completely unlocked for all frequencies. It also has a hacked firmware, and I also pre-programmed a bunch of emergency frequencies that you're gonna want. Now, listen carefully. It can also get you in trouble. Unless you have a ham radio license or a GMRS license, do not transmit. It's perfectly legal to listen to frequencies, but it's illegal to transmit. So do not press this button right here unless it's an emergency. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on now. I'm going to show you quick basics because you got to know this. So there are two modes of operation on a ham radio. There's simplex or duplex. Simplex means two people find a frequency and they communicate on the same frequency. One person can use that frequency at a time, so it's one person talking at a time. The range is very limited because it's direct. You might be able to get a few miles off of it. A repeater or duplex, a repeater is basically a station that receives and retransmits. The thing is, these repeaters cover a large area because they've got a lot of power pumping through them, and their antennas are usually placed higher and in better areas so they can cover a wide range. Some repeaters cover the entire city. I've got certain repeaters programmed in here so that you can cover a much larger range than if you were to go simplex, direct from walkie-talkie to walkie-talkie. It's going to be listening in on two different frequencies. Right now I have it set to listen on one of the GMRS repeaters and another one of the GMRS repeaters. If you have to press the PTT button, this is the PTT button, the push to talk button. You'll see an arrow right there pointing to the first line. That means it's going to transmit on that frequency. If you look at number 2, it says A/B next to it. If you hold down number 2, the arrow will move down to the second, right? Now if you push the PTT, it'll transmit on the second frequency. So back to 1 or 2. If you want to punch in a manual frequency, the number 3 button next to it, it says VFO or MR. That's either frequency mode or memory mode. So you hold that down and then you could punch in your frequency. And I'm going to go back to memory mode. Right here, this button, the star button, it also says scan. If you hold it down, it'll start scanning every frequency that I've recorded in there. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see a 1, right? That means it's scanning through the first bank. While it's scanning, if I hold it down again, it'll say 2. 2 means it's going to scan through airband, which means airplanes, air traffic towers, fire department. Do not transmit because you're going to get into a lot of trouble that way. If you press it again, it says star, which means it's going to scan through all channels that are recorded in there. Hold it down again, and it'll go back to 1. So again, if you hold down scan, hold it down, don't just press it once. Hold it down, it'll start scanning it'll scan through 1. Hold it down again, it'll scan through the airband and emergency first responder channels. That's an air tower right there. Hold it down again, it'll scan through everything, and then once again it goes back to 1. This is generally where you want to leave it at. That's how you scan, and then you can press exit to stop scanning. I'll quickly go over some of the frequencies that I pre-programmed in here. Memory channels 1 through 22 are all GMRS. GMRS includes the frequencies, like when you go get a two-way radio from REI or something, those use FRS or GMRS channels. You could communicate directly with them with this. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 are GMRS repeaters. These are pre-programmed to certain powerful repeaters that cover the entire city. The two that cover my area are the 700 and the 650. Now, channels 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, those are, that's another set of channels called Mrs. They're also general use, so there's a good chance you might be able to find people there. I programmed in the national simplex emergency frequency on channel 88 through 92. So if you press 088, it'll say 6-meter call. That one's gonna be kind of useless. You probably want 2-meter call, 89, 90, or 91. Those are the national emergency simplex frequencies. So if you transmit on there, there are always people monitoring these frequencies. Mrt Distrs, that's maritime distress. The Coast Guard has really big antennas along the ocean because they got to reach out very far. That also means that it covers inland very well. So in case of an emergency, you can also reach out to them. This is aero emergency. That's for airplanes. You probably shouldn't try to transmit on that. CB channel 9, nobody really listens on that, but I mean, again, in an emergency, it may help you. Starting from memory 101, I put in a bunch of repeaters that are local to me. Chances are people are monitoring these repeaters and they cover a large area. You'll notice that I saved a repeater called Catalina Island 1 and Catalina Island 2. Why are those important? Because those repeaters are on Catalina Island. They're very powerful and they're off-grid. Electricity goes down, those repeaters should still be running. And they cover a lot of the Los Angeles area. So that's a good repeater to have. Mount Wilson 2 is also a repeater that covers a large area. I'm able to talk to my friends in the Orange County area all the way here in the valley. So this is a great repeater to have in your radio. So that's on memory 132. So some fun things that you can do. You can listen in on airplanes. You can listen to the air traffic towers. From my house, I can hear air tower traffic from Burbank Airport, Whiteman, Pacoima Airport, as well as Van Nuys Airport. You can listen to the fire department, which I programmed in here. I programmed in Los Angeles Fire Department. You can even listen in and talk to the International Space Station when the International Space Station orbits over your area. One thing to note is that just because you can get a signal doesn't necessarily mean you can transmit from where you're at. If you have to transmit, try to go outside, try to get as high as possible. Antenna placement, the type of antenna, all that affects your ability to transmit well.